lot of me from the hood, so people look at Bleak and don't understand the business he's doing. They always look at Jay like, oh yeah.
But that's why. That's why you got like Yayo talking about Jay don't take care. I don't need Jay to go on tour.
Yo, smoke hard coke, yo.
Yo, chill.
You look like you need to be taken care of. You look like you need to go to the dentist. You need to look like you need to brush your teeth. You look like you need hygiene.
No disrespect to Jim Jones. Fifth had me in Battery Park. I could walk out that barefoot.
Get the socks.
See, that's when a nigga love you, nigga. You get the socks, nigga. Sneakers Dior, nigga. But I'm walking out there barefoot. That's when you know a nigga love you, boy. Cause he making sure you don't get your shit split.
He was your man, like on the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Jim Jones just snapped on Tony Yayo during Memphis Bleak's podcast, and the internet is absolutely eating it up. The tension wasn't random either. This storm's been brewing for a minute. You might be wondering, why are these grown hip-hop legends still out here beefing like it's 2005? Well, trust me, this one runs deep. It's not just about words. It's about pride, loyalty, and some massive egos colliding in real time. So let's rewind this messy situation from the top and break it all the way down. Memphis Bleak, Jay-Z's right-hand man since the Blueprint days, has never been cool with Tony Yayo. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. Yayo's been taking shots at Jay for years, calling him a hater and accusing him of not supporting the people around him. That kind of talk hits home for Bleak, who's basically family to Hov. But the wild part? Yayo didn't stop there. He dragged Bleak into it, too. During his interview with Shannon Sharp, Tony Yayo flat out said, Jay-Z's a hater, man. He don't take care of nobody. Look at Memphis Bleak. He not shining. He not winning. Then he twisted the knife deeper by bragging that 50 Cent treats him better than Jay treats Bleak. Like, who even does that on national TV? That's not just shade. That
came back off tour.
Yeah.
With Fifth. And we still touring. Still. And I do my own tours too for people. Yo.
You see,
I do my own tours. I did tours in Canada. I did a tour across the whole Germany and the Swiss Alps. And that's why I don't care about the hate. Cause I'm like, I got the possibility to do my own tour. Like something with Memphis Bleak. Memphis Bleak said to Nori, Yayo said, Jay-Z didn't have us on tour like he did, or I eat my own halal. I eat my own halal too. If you want to say that, to Memphis Bleak, I just came off my last tour. All I'm saying is when you see Jay-Z in a setting, he never really, when he's doing a Beyonce show or whatever, you don't see Memphis Bleak on the stage and him being brought up.
That's a full-on insult to the rock legacy. And that's exactly where things started spiraling. Because now it's no longer about respect. It's officially turned into a battle of who's the real boss. Tony Yayo's out here yelling, 50's loyal. 50 looks out for me. Like it's a badge of honor. And that's exactly when Jim Jones...
even if I'm doing the hype man shit with 50, he's bringing me out. I'm making money. I'm going to...
That's that man girl too.
That's it. That's Hov's wife tour.
Yeah, that's Hov wife tour.
So I believe if Hov was out on his own, he would bring Bleak out. There is no need for him to bring Bleak in a situation where it looked like if this was the last tour you're talking about with the Cowboy Carter.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, because I look at Bleak as a loyal guy, like I'm a loyal guy to Jay. But I look at like Fifth, my guy Hervé, one day we had TRL, and it's the Young Gunners there.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him about it. And Hervé says loud, you don't gotta worry about nothing. You got 50. Jay-Z doesn't do nothing for these guys like 50 does. And Hervé, I think he worked with them too. But he said that to me, and I always stuck in my head. Rest in peace to him.
I'm telling Yayo said, Hov don't look out for me like 50 look out for him.
Oh, word? He said that?
I just want to clear that up. Hov don't have to.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right. Okay.
I'm chewing the loud on my own. If Hov look out, I'm telling you, I'll be up there.
Right.
So when y'all see me out here, that's the Blizzard budget. But back to you, I'm sorry for cutting you off. But I just want to let niggas know Hov don't have to.
Stepped into the chat. The second that talk about who takes care of who started flying around, it hit a nerve. Jim wasn't having it. He came in hot, ready to remind everyone what real pride looks like. In true Jim fashion, he basically said, real men don't brag about who feeds them. They feed themselves. And that line, it landed like a punch. You could feel the energy in the room shift instantly. Jim wasn't just offending himself. He was calling out the whole mindset of grown men flexing over who signs their checks. It was raw, emotional, and straight from the heart. Because to Jim, loyalty isn't about handouts, it's about hustle. Jim didn't just clap back. He checked the whole mentality. He pointed out that relying on another man's success to validate your own is flat out embarrassing. And honestly, that line hit everyone in the gut because it's true. Once that man cuts you off, then what? You're stranded with no legacy of your own. Jim's anger wasn't random. It was a raw, street-level wake-up call about self-respect and independence. What started as light banter turned into a full-blown debate about pride, loyalty, and the pecking order of hip-hop. Now you've got Jay-Z's name, 50 Cent's legacy, Bleek's loyalty, and Yayo's attitude all tangled up in one messy showdown that blew up the internet. Yayo's whole stance is that Jay-Z's some cold, selfish mogul who never helps his people, that he only looks out for himself. But let's be real, that's a heavy accusation when you're talking about the man who literally built half of modern hip-hop. This wasn't just shade anymore, it was straight disrespect. And the wildest part? Yayo said it like it was casual barbershop talk, like exposing billionaires was just another Tuesday for him. He really doesn't care who catches the smoke. But when Memphis Bleek caught wind of that interview, he wasn't staying silent either. Bleek hit Drink Champs to set the record straight, saying there's no deep blood feud with Yayo. Not yet, anyway. They've crossed paths plenty of times, shared stages, even had decent convos over the years. But the second Yayo started questioning Jay-Z's loyalty and threw Bleek's name in the mix, that's when the temperature changed. You can't come for a man's mentor and expect peace afterward. What's wild, though, is that this isn't new behavior for Yayo. He's built a whole brand around calling people out for not taking care of their crews. And this time, the habit reignited one of hip-hop's oldest rivalries. Because, yep, here we go again. After all these years, the Dipset versus G-Unit smoke is back in the air. Everybody remembers that era. 50 Cent and Cameron trading jabs, Jim Jones caught in the middle, and New York hip-hop split in half. Most folks thought those days were long gone, but Yayo just dragged that drama right back into the spotlight. He even doubled down on Math Hoffa's podcast, accusing Jim Jones of not taking care of his late artist, Stack Bundles. According to Yayo, Stack was left behind, saying if Jim had really supported him, maybe Stack would have made it out of the hood alive. That's a heavy claim to make on camera, especially about someone who lost their life. And for those who don't know, Stack Bundles wasn't just some local kid chasing a dream. He was that guy. Signed under Jim Jones' Bird Gang label, he was one of the brightest new voices out of Queens, respected by everyone from Dipset to G-Unit. His death still stings the culture to this day. So hearing Yayo throw shade like that hit nerves everywhere. What started as a debate about loyalty turned into a deep dive into hip-hop morality, who really ride for their people and who just plays boss of the cameras. Jim might have fired back hard, but one thing's for sure, this new wave of tension has officially brought that old New York energy back. None of them wanted to leave the hood. That's the part people never talk about. Jim wasn't just offering them a couch. He was offering them a whole new life. A house, stability, safety, everything most rappers dream of. But when you're tied to your block, when your roots run deep in those streets, leaving feels like betrayal. Jim said it himself. He was ready to buy that brownstone, but they didn't want to go, and that decision ended up costing Stack everything. It's a heartbreaking reminder that success can't save everyone. Jim was trying to pull his crew into a new world, but they were still chasing the same corner dreams. And that's why the situation still haunts him. When Yayo brought Stack's name into the conversation, it wasn't just disrespect. It was reopening the one wound Jim never fully healed from. Because to him, Stack wasn't just an artist. He was family. Fans can debate who did what, but the reality is, Jim tried. He gave Stack the tools, the money, the exposure, even offered him property. You can't force someone to leave the environment that raised them. And sadly, the streets always collect their debt. When Jim talks about Stack now, it's not from guilt, it's from loss. He saw the potential, he saw the spark, and he watched it fade too soon. That's what makes Tony Yayo's comments hit like a cheap shot. He turned a eulogy into content. Jim wasn't trying to flex or defend his reputation. He was defending a legacy that still hurts to talk about. Because every time Stack's name gets brought up, it's not just a story. It's a reminder of what happens when talent and tragedy collide, and how fast loyalty gets twisted into blame. None of them wanted to leave the hood, and that's where the tragedy begins. Jim wasn't just offering them a handout. He was offering a lifeline. A whole brownstone in Jersey, rent-free, just to get them away from the danger he knew was coming. But loyalty to the block is a powerful thing. They thought success meant bringing the hood with them, not leaving it behind. And that's what broke Jim, because he saw what was about to happen. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop it. Jim wasn't bluffing either. He had them living like stars. Private jets, tour buses, $100,000 weekends in Miami. He gave his boys a world. He even said he doesn't talk about Stack publicly because it still cuts too deep. You could tell this wasn't some label situation. It was family. But fame and the streets don't mix. One always eats the other. And that's exactly what happened. That's when the story takes a darker turn. Fans started saying Jim didn't just fail Stack. They accused him of becoming Stack. From his drip to his slang to his whole vibe, people said Jim built his modern image of the energy Stack left behind. It's a cold accusation, one that's followed him for years. Because let's be real, Stack Bundles was ahead of his time. If he were alive, he'd be sitting front row at Paris Fashion Week. No question. Jim, though, has always rejected that narrative. He insists he gave Stack everything: money, movement, exposure. And Stack just didn't want to leave the block. In Jim's mind, he did his job as a big homie. But to fans, it still looked like neglect. And that guilt, that judgment, has haunted him ever since. So when Tony Yayo dared to bring Stack's name into the mix, it wasn't just a diss, it was a trigger. That's why Jim snapped during that Memphis Bleak sit-down. You could hear the pain in his voice. He wasn't chasing clout. He was defending a memory, one built on brotherhood, loss, and survival. And that's what people forget. Stack Bundles isn't just a rap name to Jim. It's a ghost that still follows him every time someone questions his loyalty. They always try to drag Jay into it like, yeah, so Jay don't take care of his people. But Jim wasn't having it. He snapped back hard. I don't need Jay to feed me. You look like you need help. You look like you need a dentist, hygiene, a whole life coach. It wasn't just a clapback. It was an explosion. Jim said he's got a G for every bump on Yayo's face and made it clear, ain't nobody over here depending on handouts. Memphis Bleak tried to keep things calm, but Jim wasn't trying to be diplomatic. He was on full demon time, airing out his frustrations in real time. Jim went off so raw it didn't even feel like beef anymore. It felt like therapy. He said straight up, none of these dudes are broke. They just love arguing about who got the better sponsor. He turned the whole thing into a roast session, comparing their back and forth to a sugar daddy contest. It was savage. But here's the twist. That's not even what Yayo was saying. Yayo's point wasn't about Jim being broke. It was about his team not eating like him. That hit different, because in hip-hop, your crew's success reflects your leadership. If Jim had just addressed it head-on, said his people were straight, that they moved in silence, it could have cooled things down. But instead, the flexing made it sound like he was covering a wound. And that gave Yayo all the ammo he needed. He jumped straight to Instagram, throwing shade like confetti. Then he played his trump card, reposting Max B, Jim's old rival from the Bird Gang days. Everyone online knew what that meant. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a power move. That repost wasn't random. It was tactical. It was Yayo saying, I know where to hit you where it hurts. The internet exploded instantly. Blogs clipped the podcast. Twitter took sides, and fans flooded the comments. Some said Jim was defending his legacy. Others thought he let his emotions run wild and gave Yayo the win. Either way, the attention shot both their names right back into headlines, and neither man backed down from the spotlight. Behind the scenes, insiders said Jim was heated. Word is, he started calling folks in Harlem, letting it be known he wasn't tolerating any disrespect, especially not about Stack Bundles. To him, Yayo crossed a sacred line by using a dead man's name for clout. Yayo, though, doubled down, saying he was just speaking truth about loyalty and fake love in the industry. That's when the energy shifted. This wasn't rap talk anymore. It was personal. And that's what makes this beef different. It's not just Dipset versus G-Unit nostalgia. It's two OGs from legendary crews, still defending their codes decades later. Harlem Pride versus Southside Grit. Loyalty, ego, and legacy all colliding again like it's 2005. The only difference is, now the whole internet's watching every move, waiting to see who really stands on business. This wasn't just a podcast spat. This was a full-blown clash of eras. Two mentalities, two legacies, and two men who refused to play second to anybody. After that explosive back and forth, Jim Jones decided to speak his truth. No middleman, no blog filters. He hopped on Instagram Live to clear the air, and from the second that camera turned on, you could tell this wasn't cocky Jim. It was wounded Jim. He looked serious, frustrated, like years of being misunderstood finally caught up to him. He spoke straight from the gut about people constantly dragging Stack Bundles' name, without knowing what really happened behind the scenes. According to Jim, he was the one pushing Stack to dream bigger, to leave the block, to think long-term. But Stack wasn't ready to walk away from the streets. Then came the line that broke the internet. You can't save somebody that don't want to be saved. Half the internet said he was preaching. The other half said he was rewriting history. Either way, the comment reignited one of hip-hop's oldest debates, loyalty versus legacy. But Tony Yayo wasn't about to sit quiet. He doubled down on his words, popping up in interviews and Twitter spaces, saying what he said wasn't hate, it was accountability. Yayo claimed too many rappers play big bro until something tragic happens. Then suddenly it's crocodile tears and victim talk. He said, if you're gonna call yourself a leader, that means protecting your people for real, not just during photo shoots, but when it counts. And that right there struck a nerve across the whole culture. Then, out of nowhere, old clips of Stack Bundles resurfaced, him praising Jim, saying he looked up to him, saying Jim opened doors for him. That threw everything off balance. Fans started arguing again. Was Yayo stirring the pot? Or was Jim hiding behind nostalgia to dodge accountability? One clip turned into a full-on timeline war, with fans dissecting interviews, tweets, and old Dipset footage like it was hip-hop CSI. At this point, the feud stopped being about who's right. It became about who can outlast who. Jim's been standing firm, defending his name like a general protecting his army. He keeps saying real loyalty doesn't need validation, and people only see what he wants them to see. Meanwhile, Yayo's leaning all the way in pure G-Unit energy, chest out, no filter, calling out whoever steps wrong. Every time Jim tries to calm things down, Yayo drops another jab, and the internet explodes all over again. Now the culture split down the middle. Half say Jim's just passionate and tired of the disrespect. The other half say Yayo's the only one keeping it real about loyalty and money in the game. Either way, it's reignited that raw, old-school New York energy, that who's the real one competition hip-hop's been missing. And the wild part? Neither man's backing down. This isn't over, not by a long shot. So, whose side are you on, Jim Jones or Tony Yayo? Drop your thought below, and hit that subscribe button for more updates, cause this story's only getting messier from here.